of town. I'm sure in town, there's 20 people.
Video's on.
Yeah. So,
Recording on?
Recording is on. I always mess this one up.
I think it's me.
Are you the chair, Don?
Yeah, I call this meeting to order.
Alright. Okay, Sam, 3 things on the agenda. Number 1, general update of the fleet transportation update. We've been running routes now. This is day 9.
I'm not sure, I don't know for sure.
So I think probably a pretty good feel for that. We had some trips, long distance ones. General update of the fleet. Number 2 was discussion related to
Bus seats.
the reupholstery on bus
Repair.
repair, and then a Type E.
Okay. So first thing, just update. So far, things have been going really, really smooth. The new buses, the 2 new buses, as always happens with a new bus, we find little things. And it's really handy that Rod has one of the new buses run the YBTR route. And so 2 or 3 little things, we stopped at Riverside, they've either just handled it or they've got a part ordered now. And, we have basically a 1-year warranty on everything. And then there's an extended warranty on drivetrains and stuff like that. So, there's a few parts ordered, but not anything very major. No major things happened so far. We've done a lot of repairs the last few years. Pretty confident about that. We did have a really, really long trip last weekend. The football team went to Wolf Point, and everything went great, I'm told. And so routes are going well, and drivers all seem happy. And it's kind of a perfect storm Friday night. It's pretty funny. I told the board, I had 7 subs and was like, I'm golden. And Friday was going to be, cross-country meet, and Thursday night I texted Mr. Price and said, what time are we leaving tomorrow? And he called me and told me that, they're in the hospital in Denver again. No problem, I got 6 more subs. Well, 2 were on vacation, actually 3 were on vacation. Everybody else was at the football game in Wolf Point because they had kids. About that, 7 subs.
Yeah, there's a good thing about having all of our teachers who coach.
Yeah.
And then it's in Marlena's world, I think we had 12 subs in the building already on Friday. It's like, whoa, that's a lot. But everybody pieced it together, pretty chips in.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, Scott Blaine was like he said, emergency over. Like, all right, here we go, Scott. He's in Florida hunting alligators, so it's like, oh, well, never mind. But cross-country team was great. They were not the last team to leave, as it turned out. I got there and got them. There were still a couple of schools there, so I didn't have to wait very long. But otherwise, it's been going really well, and I think things are going good so far. And routes are working out good. So. Any questions about routes or buses or any of that? Just a little quick update on the 2 that I've set out for sale. I've marketed that pretty hard, as you're aware.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, thank you. I had 3 cash offers over the weekend. People said, hey, I'll skip the auction, I'll just make you an offer. Well, I can't do that. The lowest one of those was $1,000, so go bid. So we'll see what happens there. I have answered several questions, and I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Ryan, what was your research on the open versus the closed bid?
Felicia said we do open
bid.
So she's gonna, when people come in, she'll cover the names, but they can see what the bid is. And I'll probably, when we get down to the last week, I'll probably hit it again and like, hey, here's the top bid. If you were thinking about it, you didn't.
I think that works in our favor.
When does that start and stop?
It started that day, and it's still September 30th. So I think there'll be a lot of people they're thinking about it, and they think they've got a lot of time, and so I'll need to bump it again but several people driving by have told me they've seen people out there looking, one guy crawling underneath one of them, and so.
Well, to that point about late bids, we had a gentleman come in on Friday and wanted to put in a last minute bid because he had misread the post and he thought it was August 30th.
Oh, okay.
So I do think you'll probably get you know, some of those folks that come in.
Yeah. Did he bid?
At the end, no, he was gonna wait.
Yeah,
He
see,
said, well, I'll wait then.
yeah, there are people that are gonna wait and see, you know,
Uh-huh.
what it is, so, yeah.
Just like a silent auction.
Yeah.
Everybody waits and.
Yeah, it'd be too bad we can't do an actual live auction, but, so.
No, very, very good work, RT, on that one, because what did we sell for last?
$250.
$250, yeah.
Because all that happened with it, it just got published in the newspaper, and nobody was for sale. And, you know, like one guy out of Wyoming, he said, well, did either one of them run? And I said, they were both on routes this spring, yes, I'm pretty confident they both passed inspection.
Mhm.
But, I mean, there would be a window alarm not working, there's always a window alarm not working. Anyway.
I guess I was gonna ask, how are the kids with the seatbelts?
So we've had, I asked Rod about that, and he said I've had 0 complaints from kids. So they all just got in and said, cool, buckled up. He says it's just night and day difference, kids staying in their seat. Of course, the bus with the air conditioning, he said, man, I can't believe the difference in discipline. And I said, well, I get crabby when I'm hot. I know the kids do too. And he goes, yeah, he said, man, my bus is awesome. And so, and he kept talking about how much cleaner it is, you know, because he doesn't have the windows open. And so that has made a big difference. So I hadn't thought about that part, but anyway. So yeah, it seems to be working really well on the seatbelts. That's one of the warranty things. We got one seatbelt jammed in one seat, and they're gonna emergency go take care of it. So.
Any major maintenance, coming down the pike on?
Not that I'm aware of. We don't have any tires that are close to being out. I don't know of anything major coming up. Because our buses, our route buses are all in really good condition, and the one that we moved off a route, was the one that we put quite a bit of money into over the last couple of years. So I have a high level of confidence in it. There is a good chance I'm gonna have some repair on bus 9, because 2 years ago, it gelled when I did not think it should have gelled. And then, I don't know if you remember, last year we found that other bus I had to have towed, that there's a heater in a fuel separator that I did not know about. And that had gone out, and there's no way to test it unless you take it out. And so there was a chunk of ice in there blocking the fuel line, so it wasn't gelled. And I was just thinking, I can't scale, and it wasn't a block of ice. And so, I'm wondering if bus 9 has the same issue, but I can't really test it until.
Does Riverside do all the work and tires as well?
They don't do tires. So we have, J&M Auto, you know, for there. So they have a deal with us. They come out once a month, check all the tires, air everything up, for $75 a month. I don't know how to do that. But then when we buy tires, the last time we did, I went in there, and, the tire, I think retailed $1,200, and they got a government discount for us, that made it like $325, $350. And so I'm like, well, we're not beating that. Yeah. You know, I pick up tires for that much.
Yeah.
And then does Riverside still seem to be the best?
They're the Bluebird, authorized, yeah, warranty and all that, yeah. I mean, everybody takes their buses there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably everybody else does.
Okay.
I mean, and he works me in if I tell him something really urgent, he works it in right away. And like a couple of things where on Rod's bus, I called and said, can he stop on his way back in the morning? Yeah, I didn't look in there. We had a good latch to go back, and it just wasn't installed right. And they just did it along the way, so.
What's his shop rate, you know?
Yeah. So, but I don't know who else. I know Huntley, Custer, Shepherd, Columbus, Park City, Laurel, all of them pay their buses. Yeah. Even some of Wyoming, I see them once in a while. So, yeah. Okay, ready to move on to the next? So the seat issue, bus number 8, which is, which kid either calls it the airplane bus or the sports bus, but it is the big, flat nose rear engine, not our handicap bus, but the one that we use primarily for football and band. Has vinyl bucket seats in it, and that bus is 10 years old, has about 80,000 miles on it. You may remember 2 years ago, we put a tremendous amount of money in the fuel system, put in all new injectors, new fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump, new fuel rail, did part of the intake, did some work on the intake. And I forgot to call Felicia, and it sticks in my mind around $8,000 we put into that year. And it was just an issue that fuel filters hadn't been changed. One had, but there's several, and it was just starved apparently. It has been running great, and the body on it is in good shape and everything. The seats are they're vinyl bucket seats, and as you go down the aisle, the corners of them take quite a bit of wear. A lot of times it's kids dragging their bags, but it's just wear. There's been a lot of people on and off that bus.
Sam, are you talking about the fuel injector?
Yeah,
In the cooler? Yeah, that was 14 grand,
14.
does that sound about right?
Yep. Yeah, I think 8 was one of the bills, and then there was more. So.
April of 22, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. So, anyway, we put a lot of money in that bus, so the engine is in great condition and all that stuff. And those seats are just, you can see the foam, it's starting to tear, and so I took it into Harold's Upholstery, where I've had some work done on my pickups and cars and stuff for upholstery, and they've always done a really good job. I thought they were really reasonable. I was not thinking that there's 40-some seats on that bus, so I just had not done the math in my head, and I asked him what it would cost to repair them, and he goes, just repair them, right? I said, yeah, the rest of the vinyl's pretty good. And he said, well, I gotta take every one off, I gotta take the seat out, I gotta take the cover off, turn it wrong side out, stitch it, put it back together, and it's gonna take a while. And his bid came back right around $7,500. And he said, there's a couple of these, the foam is really bad. I won't charge you, but I bet when I get in there, I'm gonna put some foam in that seat. And I said, yeah, if you start doing that, I don't know where to stop, because the tops of all of them are kind of, the foam is broken, where people lean on. And that's quite a bit of money. My recommendation would be that we do it from the standpoint that I think we can use that bus for another 10 years. I believe the state laws, we can use a bus till it's 20 years old, I think, isn't that right?
I don't know, actually, that's the first I heard of
I
that.
believe that's right. I think at 20 years old, we have to get rid of them. Yellow school buses, yeah. And, of course, that's the option. We could wrap it, and then it's not a yellow school bus, and we run it longer, but, so, I think we can use that out of depreciation, is what Felicia told me, to do the repairs on that bus. I think it's a good investment, because if we don't do it, then the seats are going to deteriorate really quick. It'll once, how RIP is, once it starts, it goes pretty fast. And, obviously, I try to ask the drivers to try to make the kids pick their bags up, and I know when I was, have athletes on my bus that drag their bag down the aisle, and I always give them crap about it, and tell them you're a freaking athlete, you work out in the gym, pick your bag out, but, anyway, move forward. So, like I said, I think it's a good investment. I think it'll save us from having to have them recovered, which would be really expensive. And to replace them would be even more, And I believe he will do a good enough job that he'll go back. He said some of them, he said, I'm gonna have to go back a little ways to get good solid vinyl, so I'm not just creating a mess. And so, I feel comfortable with it, but that's the recommendation I have.
What was the bid?
About 7,500, just a little under, but I.
Do the kids take their instruments on the bus too, or do those primarily fit underneath?
Most instruments fit underneath.
Okay.
Stuff like clarinets will come on the bus sometimes, but we can get, with the band, we can get almost everything on, all underneath. There's some drums that we put in the side door, cause it's a big, opens way out, you know, there's a big area right there to the side exit. We can put some drums in there, but otherwise everything's open.
What's time frame? Is it something you would hold till summer?
No, I'd like to get it done. I'd have to schedule the time when we're not going to be using it. He told me when I got this bid 2 weeks ago, and he said, I'm mid-September right now before I can even look at it. He said, I'd like to block out time, so just bring it and leave it. And I said, a week? And he goes, maybe. He said, 2 is more likely, but he said, I'd try to do it in a week if you could leave it. And I said, well, I would find a time when we're not gonna be using it, and
That's
it
not
just
gonna happen.
stays here.
Yeah.
So, not mid-September, but if we scheduled it, our home games, are they together or anything?
There's 2 weeks of
We do
home
have two
football,
of home football.
And when is that?
homecoming, and then the weekend
A
before.
little bit.
What about another bid? Did you get another bid
I
to
don't know anybody else.
compare?
I don't know anybody else who does.
Okay.
Because some of our personal stuff, that's how I found them. We used them once, and then Mars in Billings.
Mm-hmm.
I went there to have some stuff done, and they said, they looked at it and they said, we'll fix a rip, but more than that, you go to Harold's. And so one of our pickups we bought pretty cheap because the driver's seat was trash. And took it in, and Mars, I had them do several things to it, and they said, okay, we're gonna need it for a couple of days, because that seat, we take it to Harold's, and we're gonna get it back. So,
The week of the 20th and 27th, they're home.
Yeah, so if a guy had it there on like the 16th, is that what you have, Craig?
That's, yeah.
Yeah, if you had it there on the 16th, it would give you, till like, almost till October 4th is the next time that football's going on the road. And that's Shepherd.
and I don't know if he can fit it in now. I mean, I might have to wait till after football season.
Yeah.
And do it in, between football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Because we wouldn't use that bus. So like district and divisional volleyball, we'd use that bus for the band. The band, we got a music teacher, but Karen never took the band to state volleyball because, they gotta be in the top.
Yeah.
ones in the dark. I mean, it's just that system. So I would think once we got past divisional volleyball, and whenever the football team was done, we could do it then, and then it wouldn't be quite so big a rush, because we wouldn't need it for basketball until we got to tournament time, actually, And that would be a big thing. They can't get it inside the building, so they'd have to sit out there in a parking lot.
And Felicia said we can take that out of depreciation.
Yeah, so, those allowable expenditures, it would fit under that convert, remodel, or rebuild, so that'd be rebuild, of the bus. It's pretty constrained though, with that. Ordinary repairs and maintenance cannot fit under there. Or the purchase of a new bus, that's what we did last year with that. We replaced two-way radios, GPS, and cameras. We've got, between the elementary and the high school district, about $90,000 budgeted this year for bus depreciation, so it's, a little less than 10% of that budget. But other than that, I know that Felicia and I are not anticipating really any expenses from bus depreciation this year.
Whatever.
Because it's so constrained. It would be great if you could do repairs, and ordinary maintenance, but this is not that, so it fits within that.
You can't do repairs. Can't cover
Ordinary repairs.
ordinary repairs.
Day,
Mirror broken.
yeah.
You have to have, like, the fuel system, we couldn't.
One would argue though that, whatever that $13,000 expense was,
I'd say
is that an ordinary repair?
It's not.
There'd probably be some flexibility, if we ran into.
I would argue that.
But we still have, 80 grand,
And-
even with this, and I don't know, I got on the bus, Sam and I went and looked at it, and it seems like a big chunk of money, you know, but I think if you're looking at,
40-some seats.
yeah, if you're looking at kids getting onto that bus, right, and, you know, carrying themselves with pride, in themselves and their team and in school, obviously not a lot of other people are gonna see it, but the kids see that. You know,
It
the
looks
foam's,
pretty trashy.
the foam's coming out everywhere, it does lend, I think, to issues on the bus, right, because
The rips are gonna get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, we looked down last week, and I think it's a good investment. I mean, if we're gonna got 10 years left run time on that bus, it's a good investment. We already put some money into it.
I think that's the big thing is commitment. We're not just gonna, if we're gonna invest money in it, we're gonna stick around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's,
Oh, it definitely fills a niche that, I mean, when we need it, we need that bus. Yeah, I had noticed, you know, when I first started driving here, I got some buses that were, the seats were pretty bad. I've noticed you get more discipline problems when the inside of the bus is either trashed or
Yeah.
dirty.
so,
Yeah.
If it's dirty,
Well,
they behave
and
differently.
cleaning it going forward is better if it's tied up. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just moving foam around
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
you start, you know, actually cleaning it.
Yeah.
So as a committee, we're all in agreement to take that to the board?
I think it would be a good.
I wouldn't think that we would need full board. I'm happy to bring it to the full board if you guys want to.
But we're
Well within our authority.
with authority?
I don't know, I'd personally like to see these go to the board.
Full board.
That's my.
We can present it, just say this is, and we.
I think you guys have all seen it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and any board member, I mean, it'll be in the board packet ahead. Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it'd be in the board packet.
Yep.
So any board member that wants to go look at it, talk to me about it, I'm glad to do that, you know, just kind of explain the logic and that is. You brought up something, you mentioned cameras, I meant to say that about the fleet. Kelly came down and worked on all the radios. They had all been programmed by different people, and he cleaned them all out and reprogrammed everything. And we have far more reach than we ever have since I've been here. Rod had a question this morning about a student, and he was at Parkville Cemetery, and I was at Wilkerson's. And we heard each other just as clear as could be. That never happened before. And, I mean, hills are still a problem, but it's like, it's way better. And he's starting to work on cameras and, you know, fix some things there. And so he's too busy, but it's been really good. He's fixed a lot of stuff, so.
Excellent. Okay, so recommendation to move the reupholster of bus 8 to the full board. Discipline committee.
Can we change it from reupholster to repair upholstery?
Would be very good.
Because it's not, yeah, we're not putting new on.
Gotcha.
So let me talk to you about Class E and I think you guys know this deal, that transportation money, highly restricted, only be used to get students to and from school in a yellow school bus with one exception. And that is a Class E school bus, has a long list of criteria it has to meet. There's only two vehicles in the U.S. that meet that criteria. One of them is a Toyota, Nissan.
It's a Toyota.
Toyota?
I saw that one.
Yeah, they're nice. Dang, they're nice.
It looks very nice. I know that it fits what we.
Wow.
After I saw what they were.
Yeah, I looked at one and I was like, oh boy.
It's basically like what it looked like. I saw one at, Elderville.
Yeah,
Elderville School. It had school bus on the side of it. And what is that? So I stopped and looked, and it's like it's a little bit bigger, but it's like a really nice minivan. Yeah, basically what it kind of looks like.
Huh.
but nice. Very good.
Yeah, it looked real nice.
Not cheap at all. Like all Toyotas. Good.
Yeah.
And to be qualified as Class E, has to be bought new, can't be used. The other vehicle is the Ford Expedition EL, which actually has a higher safety rating than any of the other manufacturers. So we have one that we've used for driver's ed recently. We did buy it as a Class E That's why it has a backup beeper on it. Somewhere there are magnetic signs that say school bus that you had to have on it. We used it that way for a while. It does not have to be used exclusively for that purpose. If it is used to transport students to and from school, there's a couple of rules have to be observed. It can't stop on the highway, it has to pull into driveways. It cannot stop at railroad crossings, stuff like that. You do not have to have a CDL to drive it, and it can be used as a CDL bus driver, or a teacher can use it to CDL bus, whatever. There's a lot of flexibility to it. Roberts and Laurel both have what I'd really like to have, which is that transit van. You know, Roberts is dual wheels and very stable, seats 15 people. Anybody can drive it. Very, very nice.
All-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive. It can't be bought with transportation funds. Roberts bought theirs with a grant because of their transporting kids to the Boys and Girls Club. Laurel just bought theirs. And we obviously don't have the money for that. So I've been trying to figure out how we can take transportation money and help alleviate what I think we got a little choke point. We have 2 school vehicles. The Yukon, which is, in my opinion, fairly bougie for a school, as far as all the doodads on it, doesn't have much room in it, actually. I mean, it's really nice, but there's no room in it. The Ford, lots of teachers like it to transport students, but we just have the one. And so if, sometimes there's like a science class going to Cooney, and they've got 10 students. Well, it's a little challenge, you know, to get all this to work. As our school grows and expands, there's just more and more need for it. So I asked Mr. Bayer if we could look into a Class E. So I went forward, actually been 2 or 3 times, and having him give me a bid on what I wanted, which is Ford Expedition XL, just the plane, and as plain as I can get. There's 2 or 3 things that I asked for, and he said, "Oh, that comes standard on all of them." Okay. So like backup sensors, for example. And the bid, if we ordered a brand new one, $61,500, and that's current as of today. And then I said, what about leather seats? And I was thinking from the standpoint of cleaning. And leather seats, it'd be actually a cover, but professionally installed cover, would add $2,000 to that. So that would make it $63,500 if we did that. They were good, but then the wait time could be 2, maybe even 3 months to build it. So we found you another one that's somewhere else, that's a XLT that I could get within 2 or 3 weeks, and that one would be $67,000. And I said, I don't even want that. I said, and plus I said, we wait a year on a school bus, so 3 months not very good. I mean, if you guys want to look at the build, what's on here, I can just, it comes with I did get a tow package on it because I thought maybe we would want that at some point, you know, to pull a trailer with or something. I was featuring like a gear trailer for football or something. We wanted to do that. I don't think I added anything else on here. No, that's all I had. Totally. I did specifically say I did not want a sunroof. I own several. The one we have, the school has right now. So,
And it has to be brand new?
yeah, we can't, with transportation money, you can't buy it used, you have to buy it new. So then,
What's the mileage on the other 2, like the Expedition of God and then?
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that, I think that if my memory, I think the Yukon is somewhere around 70, 75.
I know that we bought the Yukon used.
Yeah. But
I thought we bought the
didn't use
Expedition.
transportation money for it.
No, we couldn't, I didn't even qualify for a Type E.
I thought
We
that
was it a Yukon XL? I think we bought the Yukon XL used.
You mean the Expedition?
The Expedition.
I
Thought
thought
we
it
bought
was
it
used
used?
also.
I think so.
I thought when Felicia gave me that paper, I thought it had to be new.
You know, they may have changed that, but I'm pretty sure both of those rigs were used.
They were used, I
Okay.
was pretty sure.
He tells me he can't find that used. He said nobody orders one that plain. So, and I don't know, maybe you want me to have Felicia check that,
Yeah.
double check that? I don't know that it'd be a lot cheaper is the thing, I mean, they hold their value really well. And part of the thing is by the time somebody sells one of those used, usually we're, get some help on it, but. They do make the school bus look cheap, I will say that. Say that's 60,000, no school bus is 160, and a lot more vehicle, but
But if you could buy a used one, you could probably get it in 140.
maybe.
Mhm.
You know, so here is this is just some rough math that Felicia and I worked on a little bit. So we spent out of transportation money last year, we put 100 and transfers that went out of transportation because we had money left over in transportation at the end of the year instead of 182 was $112,000. And so that's $112,000 that we won't, have to incur this year. We went down, as a result of that, we, went down with our levy, $40,000. So if you do the math, a little bit on that, 112 minus, whatever, 72. Is that what that is? So there's this anticipated money that won't go to salaries, regular everyday maintenance, $72,000, which is enough to cover a $63,000 vehicle and still have about $12,000, barring anything major from happening. But it does get pretty close. Leaving the cushion of about $10,000 thing. So we did do a lot of maintenance, last year on.
Yeah, it's not hard to spend. If you know, it's not hard to spend
That's our
$10,000.
maintenance budget as well, then.
Yeah, well, that's comparing it to last year, right? So all of the maintenance in last year, we are predicting, to have about 70, would you say 72,000 cushion. You take 63 of that away. And that's kind of what we did with the budget, right? We knew that we weren't buying buses, but we did, want to set ourselves up to potentially make this purchase. But
So do you wanna,
it makes it pretty tight.
Mhm.
yeah, do you wanna delay this? Let me research that and make sure that we can't buy used.
That's what I would like.
Yeah.
No, Felicia's saying already. She said yes, the Expedition that we previously bought was used.
Okay.
So we could go to the used option
If that law hasn't changed.
if the law hasn't changed. Yeah.
And I can check on that and see. And then that might, the salesman's fairly hungry. So,
Is this qualified?
yeah, it's a new guy. He's working really hard. Yeah, I know way too much about the car business. He's
Can you pick it up today? Where do you, we'll have it ready?
he wants it pretty bad. So I can, if we can buy a used one, he'll work it pretty hard. And then we just, and then they're all networked now where they deliver around the country, And yeah, if that's legal, I'd more of the work's coming from. some stuff like that, so.
Yeah, we're prepared to take the risk on that. I mean, we've had good luck with the Expedition, I think.
Yeah,
We've had good luck with the Yukon too, something, but
Yeah, nothing major.
cosmetic.
Nothing major. And I think both of those were fairly local. you know,
Yeah.
local trade-ins, I think. And, yeah, and that's why sometimes if you do used, you get doodads that you wouldn't necessarily order this.
Yeah.
Now, please understand, my personal vehicle, I want every option available, everyone. But I just know
They're pretty fancy.
how much there is to break.
More stuff to go wrong.
What do we, like, kind of on average, what's one of our vehicles get from average year?
You know, I've got that record, I could look that up and see. The Yukon gets lots more miles than the Ford. There's a lot of people that, you know, there's one or two people that are on Phillies. Yukon is, yeah, it's more fun to drive. I get it. But, and it's still, it probably has value to us for things like that. You know, and you can haul students in it, but just not very well. Ford.
I had this conversation with Mr. K today regarding driver's ed, and he punched the math. So every driver's ed session, there's a range of about 2,000 to 4,000 miles that are going on, and so that for the last year or 2 years.
Two sessions or
Every
three?
session, I think this year we ran 3. You know, so there's, you know,
About
about, you know, upwards of 12,000 miles that have gone on the expedition.
I still would like to see a nice little car of some sort.
Yeah, I
Just for the driver's
So
ed.
update on that, so, been talking with Underwriter Motors, who does all the leasing for, School District 2. So he's also a hungry salesman.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Good to have them.
Yeah, so we can get into, and I think this informs the type B conversation. So he can do let me just pull it up so I have the right information. There it is, okay. So, 15,000 mile lease per year, 3-year lease, $378 a month. On a Hyundai 2024 Hyundai Elantra, front wheel drive. So probably not perfect for winter conditions, but I think if the roads are real bad, they're not going to drive.
Front-wheel drive is fine.
on those days, you know, big car. I think we want to get in it. You know, sit in the back, take a look at it. Mr. K also wants no bells and whistles on the driver's ed car, but I think that's a good option for driver's ed, and they don't need any money up front. All right, so you're just into the lease. In looking at the driver's ed, so there's about $20,000 in that account, just cash. We are making on each session anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000.
That's after paying
That's,
Mr. K?
yeah, after paying Mr. K, like that's cleared money, right? And so running it, I think pretty soundly, 375, 378 on the year.
I gotta do that one.
Is that-
4,500
is that
bucks.
lease purchase?
This is straight lease. I guess you could look at purchasing.
So then every
But-
3 years you'd get another.
I think
45.
4,500 bucks. So you're still coming out. You know, if he runs 3 sessions, you know, you're still going to be padding that account. You know, to the tune of 1,500 bucks a year, and still having a brand new rig that allows us to put the expedition back into that. And now,
Because there was some conflict here and there.
Oh, lots.
With that.
And the law is,
We didn't realize what happened then. We
yeah, once it
didn't
goes
realize that law.
into driver's ed, it can't be used for anything else while it's being used for driver's ed.
yeah, so it's just sitting there, and now we're running a bus, you know, down the road. So I think that's a really good option.
Well, if we did the lease car, could we exclude the purchase?
That's up to you
I
guys.
mean, I don't know, you know, is that?
Or holding off for
I
a
guess I don't know
while?
how much you guys run, and so I don't know all the.
Just hold it off for a year and see.
Well, you want 6. You
Here's
want
the deal.
6 expeditions.
Ultimately, yeah, I just think, I mean, as I've talked to you guys, I think down the road, the more of these you have, the better. And I think rather than suddenly coming to a crisis where like, all right, we gotta buy 5 of them, I think it's better to add one every couple of years in my opinion, the off year that you're not buying a bus, buy one of these. Because you're gonna trade in, like, the others eventually, we're gonna say, that needs to go back.
And that expedition started to show its age.
Very much.
As we ran driver's ed
The
through.
driver's ed has not been good to us, let's just say that.
So here's a question now, is if Sam's gonna kind of look at the used market, or have salesman giving the used market, what do we do, because basically we can't sit on generally a used vehicle long enough to get to the board and purchase it. You know, it might not stick around that long.
Good point.
So is it something we can bring to the board and say, hey, we're looking at used, this is a dollar amount max or something?
Yeah.
That's what
To
we've
kind
done
of-
in the
I think we've done
past.
that, I think we've done that before,
Mhm.
set a authorized 40 grand,
This
50
feels
grand.
a lot like when I called Diane, I'm like, okay, this deal right here, right, you're gonna, can we?
So maybe that's something we should, I mean, you can kind of get some feelers out.
Yeah, I can find out something before the
A
board meeting.
ballpark of where these
Right.
used vehicles are gonna come in at. And then
Right.
Clark can maybe find us.
Yeah, I can find out, you know, if it's legal, and maybe I read that wrong, I thought it had to be new, but, and I definitely could be wrong about that, but then find out, you know, where are we, what do you have out there that's, and you might have something sitting right now, but car sales are way down at the moment.
I would be, because looking at that cushion, you know, $10,000 is.
That's tight.
That's an increase, you know, from last year, we're probably gonna see that, right? And then, so then what we're doing is, you know, taking a little bit of money out of reserves,
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with $10,000 cushion, I mean, that's a lot. My personal budget, that's
Yeah.
enormous, but not when you look at the fleet of buses.
Yeah.
I mean, just, here's an example. Last year, Rod was at a basketball game. It was freaking cold. He went out at halftime, started the bus. We always do this. Shortly after he started it, the alternator bearing froze, burned up the belt, which stopped running the water pump, which caused the bus to overheat, which blew the radiator up. And obviously tore up the water pump. So I had to have it towed from Huntley, new radiator, new alternator, new water pump. And Rod didn't do anything wrong, it just happened. And, you know, Jess Hofer, I was telling him, he goes, you mean to tell me the buses don't have a emergency switch? I was like, oh, what? And I found out about them and asked Paul, can I put those on? And he goes, you're gonna hate it. So anyway, I don't know, I mean, stuff like that can just happen, you know, and so then we were all paranoid to let our buses idle for a while. And, which was 20 below, maybe 5. Yeah, so they're, you know,
Is
that wasn't 10, but that was.
Is there a number that the transportation committee feels comfortable with
For cushion?
to potentially set a spending limit at the next board meeting to bring a recommendation to 30,
I think,
which would leave 40,
yeah, I think if Sam could get
or you wanna look first?
some ideas.
Let me see what I can
I mean,
do.
maybe it's not even an option for us with that type of a budget.
I don't think you're gonna find much for that amount of money
I
for
don't
a while. Cause I would rather go, if we're gonna get used, we're looking at, I mean, a little bit, like with anything, more mileage, the better, actually.
And a little mileage costs money.
More mileage costs money.
I think it's the point of
And
the whole lot to find.
Yeah,
where if we go forward with this, you know, I don't know, when's the next driver's ed session, is there another one coming up soon? I mean, is that something that we need to look at, you know,
To Sam's point earlier, we could go to Underwriter tomorrow and drive away with that car.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think he's running.
but he's saying, when does the next driver's ed session start?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking to tie up, you know, the other car.
To get the expedition.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
loose
he's-
now, yeah, but
Would that, if we did that car, then just thinking of the travel stuff, when it was free from driver's ed, would it be able to be used
Yes.
for like teachers and they would go to conference or whatever?
Yeah, you gotta go to that monthly meeting, you know, superintendent meeting, hop in that thing.
You'll have to watch your Bible.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch your
Oh, right,
miles,
right.
definitely, you know, so
Take
whatever, you know,
Just take-
but it is available in the situation where. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
all three are,
yeah.
all three are gone.
That is one thing on leases, I do know the miles sneak up on you.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, especially out here.
Yeah, it would really be watched.
Pretty true.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna lease a driver's ed car, I'm comfortable waiting a little bit, and especially if that's all the margin there is. If my sales guy tells me he can find one under 50,000 miles for $40,000, well, I think he changes a little bit.
Yeah, where the driver's ed fund is gonna fund that car,
Right.
that's kinda like a win-win, in
Yeah,
a
that's
way.
its own deal.
So,
And so even with buying that car, we're not gonna see that drop below 20 grand in that driver's ed.
Yep.
'Cause it's just gonna be that out. Now we're not running for a profit.
Yeah.
Right, which we shouldn't be.
Yeah,
Right.
and would that
You
be an in and out in transportation, the driver's ed? You would come out of transportation and driver's ed?
know, no, driver's ed fund,
It's separate?
Yeah.
Okay, so we would, I would have to.
that's a cash account.
That person also a small car that would be on there for those kids too.
I think a lot of people would like.
Yeah, they do less damage when they hit things.
Sam, what's the situation though where so the 2 expeditions in the Yukon could go somewhere?
So Envirothon is the first thing that comes to mind. So they're always tight. They frequently ask for a bus. Very seldom do I have a bus driver that wants to be gone 4 days, including a weekend. And so they've asked 2 or 3 times and I can't get a bus driver. I mean, obviously I can't do that. So that's an example.
PPA state.
EPA state would be a good example. Some FFA stuff, depends on what event. There's Science Bowl one year could have done that. I'm thinking Miss Hereford periodically just schedule something to go to Cooney or go wherever and, you know, as to the teachers whether that could work. Stuff like that. Especially where it's over a route. You know, if it's between routes, usually it's not that big a deal, but if it's something that's over a route or multi-day, then it would work really well for stuff like that.
This wouldn't have, I think our numbers are too big in cross country now. This wouldn't have solved our problem on Friday, but it would have been still.
Because a lot of kids went home. with their
Yeah, it
kids.
would have. I think I only brought 12 kids home. So it would have worked.
work.
It would have worked then.
But cross-country going to Helena for 7
Yeah,
on 7.
stuff, things like that.
I mean, there's several times that it would work.
I think it's a great idea, it's just.
Yeah, that's one site, that's not.
it's more feasible taking a smaller rig than a bigger bus.
Yeah, and sometimes maneuverability, if you're in downtown, depends, you know. And like, well, here's an example, the FFA sometimes go places, and they've got 3 more places that it could be. So-
Yeah.
That would be nice to, you know, so.
Okay, recommendation from the committee is to
Get some,
research used option. Okay.
yeah, look at used.
Check legality and research.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I had.
So,
Any more discussion? Public comment? All right, I think this meeting can be adjourned.
Thanks, Sam.
You bet. Thank you guys. Thanks. I got you a lease quote from Ford, but after what you told me, you don't even want to see it, so.
What they offer.
Well, the only car that Ford makes now is a Ford Mustang, so I think like Shelby is what we want.